hi folks, if you're joining us, it's so nice to see you. If you're new to my world, my name is Claire Venus. I am an engagement consultant and Substack expert, and I invited Alex here today, who I discovered only in December, which I just love for us. So Alex and I are going to chat community. Alex has got this beautiful book that I won a competition to receive a copy of over on Instagram. So I'm loving that. So we'll dive into that. But yeah, we're going to talk more about community on Substack and community more generally, I think. So welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Claire. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're
happy
so
to be
welcome.
here.
It's so nice. And whereabouts are you joining us from?
I live just north of Boston in Massachusetts. So right at the heart of I don't know, political chaos to some degree this week, but also Boston's it's a really great place to live right now in our country. So
yeah, it's a
feel
beautiful
lucky.
place. I went there years ago, like more than 20 years ago. When I worked on an American summer camp, we sort of traveled around a bit afterwards, and Boston was one of the places. Probably you won't be surprised to know it was because of Cheers, the TV episode. So we decided we would all go there and go to the Cheers bar. So it was super fun.
That's so. Do you want to hear a really funny story, Claire?
Yeah.
Cheers is so there's a space above Cheers, right on the Commons there, called the Hampshire House, which is where I had my first book launch.
Yeah. That's so cute.
So I basically had my book launch for Bread, Sex, Trees at Cheers. But
love that.
Just north of
Little claim to fame. It's really nice, isn't it, how we find these little pieces of our cultural past or our cultural fabric like pop up again and again and again. I've been fascinated with that the last little while, because when I started working online, I sort of felt like I'd left my career behind a little bit, like my old version of my career in festivals and events. And then one of my colleagues invited me to come and speak about Substack, and she said, "You've always brought a festival mindset to everything that you do." And I was like, oh, yes. Like, when it all
so
kind of,
great.
and I just find that a lot.
I love the idea of a festival mindset. What is that for you? Like, that feels really
Tiring.
community forward to me. I don't think I have a festival mindset.
I just feel like really tiring. It's really tiring. I used to work on these festivals and events, and they would take a year to plan, and then they would be 10 days long. And then you would just have to go and sit with, there's this beautiful old Turkish baths in the city that I used to work in. So me and my manager would go and sit in the Turkish baths and just sort of sit, just be like, stop it.
Turkish bath mindset. That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of the people that are joining us or catching up on the replay that don't know your work, Alex, how do you describe yourself and what do you write here on Substack?
So I am a spiritual director in my outside of Substack life, which means I meet with people one-on-one to help them find meaning. But I do that sort of via a very science-based, earth-based spiritual practice. So my poems are also kind of in the same vein as that. So what I write about is how we connect with the land around us, and how I believe that the attention to the land can create a sort of system of care for not just human beings around us, but also the animals and the plants and the world that we live in. And I think a lot of my sort of spiritual basis is that we are creatures ourselves, that we are not separate from the animal and nature world. So a lot of what I'm trying to help people do is reconnect with their inner rhythms. Like, who are you? What kind of creature are you? What kind of creative work do you do, and when do you do it best? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So some people work really well in the winter and they get really burrowy and they write a lot. And I'm like, my brain kind of goes, sad brain. And I write my best in the spring and in the fall. So those are sort of the things I talk about on Earth and Verse, is essentially how do we connect with our creativity in the way that feels the most honest and true and authentic to ourselves.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's so important as well. I think the more, we moved here sort of 10 years ago, and the more I've tuned into the seasons here, the more I find joy in them all. But there's definitely been the long winters where I'm like, I can't wait for spring. So I feel that creative surge again. So I feel excited about delivery. And then it tends to all burn really quickly. And by summer, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for a different pace and just to have long one. It's really interesting, but it's the same. It's the same every year. So I do
Yeah.
think that being immersed in landscape has taught me a lot here. We've got an allotment garden. It's less allotment garden than it was. We used to have pet chickens. We had them for about 8 years, and it was a real part of our routine
The
to
dream.
tend to the chickens. It was, and I think part of what was so interesting about it is it's the perceived dream, right? But in
Mhm.
reality, there's all sorts go on. There's all sorts that
Right.
get sick a lot. You have vermin problems. It's just like there's a whole lot of ecosystems to be really mindful of. But I love them. I did love that phase, and I think now where I'm at is being able to sit more quietly in the fabric of home because work always
Mhm.
existed outside of home. And now for the last 5 years, like it's been here.
Yeah.
So I know whereabouts. I was just chatting, whereabouts in the house the light is, or when I want to feel quiet and I don't want to feel like too connected to the outside, I can go in the middle, like the heartbeat of the home, and sit on my sofa and just sort of chill and write in a notebook and stuff. It's nice.
It is really nice. I mean, I've worked from home for the last 5 years too, very intentionally, but since before the pandemic. So I started my own business in 2019, um, because I realized that when I work too much out of the house, it drains all of my well-being. Like, I get sick
Yeah.
all the time. Um, and it's just I have to work with my own energy and my own
Mhm.
pacing, and that varies a lot depending on, the season and my mood and my cycle and all of the fun things. So I'm so grateful for Substack. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't start Substack until March of 2024, and
Hmm.
then I was like, "Why didn't I start this years ago?" Like, it's everything that I was trying to do elsewhere,
Right. Hmm.
all in one place. And, at least for now, right? Like,
Yeah.
social media platforms change, and
Hmm.
when we're giving our business, like, someone else's when we're giving money to someone else to host our business, right? That's always, a danger. And so that's the other thing I really appreciate is that we're really getting people's, like, emails so that we can keep in touch with them even if, something happens to Substack and we don't wanna be here anymore. So
And it does, and it feels easeful to discover beautiful writing. So that's what I have
very
always loved
useful.
about the platform. And I think definitely last year I just reached capacity on reading, on subscriptions, on all of it, all of it. It was like, oh, that's all been quite a lot. And then you realize you just need that little bit of downtime, which obviously we've alluded to. But I do think there is that piece of us as
Mhm.
creative humans that is not meant to be plugged in all the time, that does need to not only give ourselves a permission slip to have time off, but also send that out to the ether as well, because there will always be stuff to read. There will always be people who want to show up daily or weekly or whatever they want to do, but we can have this flexible cadence on Substack, and I really believe we can. I
Yeah,
think that,
I
that
agree.
we can do that and we can choose. And that's why I'm so drawn to seasonal work. Like I said, I can't believe I only just discovered you, but it makes sense now because it's not actually been that long. And I think I was just like at capacity for discovering new things. So it
Oh,
was
yeah.
such a welcome treat through the post when I got your book.
Oh, I'm so glad that I mean, Beth so you got this book, my book,
Yeah.
through, Beth Kempton's community,
Mhm.
and I think Beth Kempton's community was sort of how I made my way to Substack,
Mhm.
because we've been friends on Instagram for a long time, and, I love her work, and I've done some of her workshops over the years. And I've led workshops, in person and, through my own business for about 10 years, that are
Okay.
all seasonally and spiritually and creatively
Mhm.
based. So to be able to kind of come here and find other people doing that work has been enormously, like, community building for me, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
building a community here for people who want what I offer, but it's
Mhm.
also like, being in community with you and with the other people who are trying to make a living and, like, trying to build a life around creativity and writing. I've never found another space that had it in such, spades, right? Like, had it in such numbers of people who are taking it really seriously.
I think so. And like taking care of themselves in the process as well, because when something's new, we can put down the rule book. And although I've been on Substack since 2022 and we've seen a lot of shifts and changes in that time, like I still feel like I'm making up my own rule book. Like this is my
Mhm.
third going into fourth year of hosting a paid newsletter. Like that's nuts, 4 years of
That's
showing
so
up
great.
behind a paywall, right? Like for a newsletter format, essentially. And I have sort of shifted it and changed it and tweaked the invites this year. But it felt so beautiful to be able to say that's what I was doing. I'm like, this isn't going to be for everyone, but like, this is where I'm being called to be. And it's actually a gratitude practice year. Like, that's what we're doing. And it's a year of noticing because it helps our writing. So that was where it came from. But even last year when I was so stuck on what to do and I thought, am I going to just turn it all off and it's fine if I do? Like, it's not a failure. It's just that I'm being called to do something different, to like
Yeah.
reinvent and evolve and really tune into what is going to light me up, because we don't need to force ourselves through something, do we? We can shift and change.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, did you ever have a blog? Like, were you ever a blog?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had one that was called Run with Your Heart, Not with Your Legs.
I love that.
It's so sweet. And it was about running. So it was about like running, but like running all over the world because I was really into traveling at the time.
Oh my
And
god.
running away from like toxic ex-boyfriends and like I was young, but it was
Yeah.
just like it just felt really sparkly and special to do it. But it didn't have any community attached to it. So I
Mhm.
had community at work. Like I always hosted big projects with like diverse audiences, and there was always like loads of showmanship went on with all of that stuff. So I was
Wow.
always busy with audience at work, but these quieter spaces were like, wow, like I'm writing and literally nobody's reading. And I was sort
Mm.
of okay with it. Like I don't know. I think because we were just figuring out the internet, I was like, yeah, this is fine. Like I'm going to have this as was a bit like a sort of legacy building tool. I felt like I was kind of putting my digital stamp out there and testing that flex of what feels comfortable and how to write, I guess.
Wow, that's such a yeah, that makes so much sense to me. I started a blog a while ago, I don't know, in the blogging era called Highly
Mhm.
Sensitive Extrovert,
Nice.
um, which was all about essentially the same stuff I talk about now, but with really different language. It's so
Yeah.
funny how
Mhm.
I do evolve, right? And at that
Mhm.
time, I was really talking about how to tend to my nervous system
Mhm.
before that was really quite the buzzword that it's
That's the language that we use, isn't it? But it's like the recognition in us is the
Mm,
same, isn't it?
yeah.
That kind of like, oh, sigh, like I recognize that in me. And I think it's really interesting because we have to sort of deciphered this digital set of invites where we can really easily know this is the space for me, or no, actually, that's not quite the right fit, or that's not what I'm being called to do right now. And I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting online because I get asked about this a lot. I don't know whether it's come naturally to you to build a community around your work, or what that was something that you just wanted to try? Did you always know that you wanted to have an online community around your work as well as kind of doing in-person stuff?
I mean, it's so interesting because I'm trained as a community builder.
Mhm,
That's like what my education is
mhm.
in. So, I worked in justice work. I worked in Unitarian Universalist ministry, which is pretty specific to the States, but,
Okay. Yeah, I
it's
thought it sounded a bit like Harry Potter. I was like, "Wait,
yeah,
what?"
it's a bit like, it's very much, it's a it's a, you know, religion, but it's very hippie, it's very nature
Okay.
driven, it's very like,
Mhm,
and it's based here in Boston, but, I don't work at a church now, I work one-on-one with people, but yes, I'm trained in community building,
mhm,
right? So what I know how to do and what I love to do is facilitate. So I don't even
mhm,
think I'm a teacher, right? Teaching has never really been the primary driver for me. Mine is like to help the other person see what they already have within them. That sort of like pattern recognition, big
mhm,
picture, sort of like metaphorical thinking. So I do a lot of this kind of um, seeing what's inside of another person and then just showing it to them. Right. Like, oh, hey, did you know that you have this
mhm.
like incredible skill with this kind of language, or did you know you have this incredible skill with this kind of visual? Um, and then just helping people understand how to be unafraid
Oh, okay.
of
Mhm.
showing up in community, because I think community can be really scary for
Mhm.
folks,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
I think it's that, like, intimidation, isn't it, sometimes? Like, I I describe it as space holding, and that really came from the yoga circles that I trained
yeah.
in. So yeah, I just feel like that is what I do, and that innate creativity or innate sense of self or, like, recognition of lineage or whatever it is, whatever the mirror is holding up, like, for me, that is the sparkle part. It's like that is unique to the
Yes.
person. So
Yeah.
that feels really easeful. And I think the experiences that I had through working class roots, yes, being like a female from the Northeast, which probably doesn't resonate at all to the American audience because they're like, what? But in the Northeast of England, like you are judged on your accent. So
Mhm.
it's not like a proper accent, like London based people might speak
Yeah.
like properly. So, you know, as kids, my mum would sometimes say, oh, I'll have to take you to elocution lessons. And like, I always had this kind of barrier around sharing my voice because I was embarrassed of my accent, whereas actually it ended
Mhm.
up being like an asset because lots of people comment on it now. But there's
Yeah.
definitely that piece of like, I didn't want to show up inside of community if I knew people were, I mean, even in the Northeast, to be honest, in person, but definitely if it was national, it would always be really difficult for me. And I think that's been really helpful online because I really, really encourage people to show up. Like, obviously, when they're ready, and there are lurkers in community, they self select and call themselves lurkers. Like, I don't mind, it's fine. But I do think there is this piece of like, the more you can invite, the more people will feel more comfortable about sharing. And I'm so fascinated with how we do that.
Mhm.
Um, I think people have become more comfortable. Like I used to do things where I would turn the recording off and I'd be like, okay, like I've turned the recording off. We're not recording. Like, what is
Yeah.
it that you want to share and say? And I've tried that a couple of times recently and it's been good. Like there's been an alchemy, there's been something different that happens. But yeah, I just love to experiment with it all and love to invite people in.
Yeah. I mean, it's so the way that I've structured my Substack is it is oriented around community
Mm,
building.
mhm,
So, I do lead workshops once a month or twice a month, depending on whether or not I'm in a seasonal program or not. So I run sort of seasonal programs. Right now I'm doing one called Secrets and Stars. So they get, we do creative prompts every week, and then once or twice a month we'll meet for a writing call.
mhm,
And that writing call isn't recorded.
mhm.
And I do that very intentionally so that people can write and
Yeah.
share without feeling like they've published it on accident or someone's going to hear something that isn't fully baked, right?
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think when we're writing together, especially, it's going to be half baked. It's going to be a quarter
Yeah.
baked. It's not really
Mhm.
going to be presentation level.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, there's a different quality in it. But then the confidence of being able to write and share in that space and state
Mhm.
is so, like, it's so magic, isn't it? And what community can bring to your confidence of going, oh, actually, yeah, like I will put my hand up and share. Yeah.
I mean, and I, especially with something like poetry or writing where you're writing in flow, which is sort of what I do the most of, people write the most
Hmm.
incredible things in 7 minutes. I mean, it
Hmm.
can't believe how gorgeous the language just naturally comes out, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you don't know that you wrote a beautiful thing until you say it aloud and everyone in the room goes, "Oh."
Like witnesses it. Yeah. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I have watched so many people over the years, myself very much included, go from being like, "Writing, I enjoy it, but what even is this?" to, "Oh, I have a gift
Hmm.
and I should share it with the world."
Mhm. And you do so beautifully. I mean, honestly, like I cannot tell you like what a beautiful gift this was to receive through the
I'm so
post. But I
glad
know
you
Beth's
liked it.
work really well. So to receive Beth's book and this like brand new author to me with all of this beautiful photography and like all of this seasonal depth and these gorgeous invites, I mean, it is just stunning. Is this your only book out in the world?
So this is my fourth poetry
Mhm,
collection. Secrets and Stars was my first book, and I self-published that in
mhm,
2020.
mhm,
And then I got Bread, Sex, Trees picked up by Central Avenue Publishing.
mhm,
And then I self-published Hermit Season, and then this was published with Mandala Earth, who also publishes James Cruz. So if you know James Cruz here, he's a poet. And they did such a beautiful job with this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hardback. It's like gorgeous. And this was the first time I ever pitched a project to publishers. So I got on Zoom with them. They were like, "What do you want to write?" And I was like, "Whoa, you're gonna just let me like give you an idea?" And I had this idea for seasonal poems with seasonal photos that I had been taking on film for 2 years. So most of the photos in here are film photography that's scanned. And it's almost all from my neighborhood, like my back of my house, except for the cover, which is in Patagonia. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And there's so much detail, but they are also like vignettes as well. This is what I like about the art of photography with poetry together, and especially because it's yours.
Yeah.
You know, it does feel like you're inviting us into a portal, but also inviting us to experience our own as well. Does that make sense?
That's exactly what I was going for. So I'm glad it comes across that way. I mean, I've been on Instagram for years, right?
Yeah.
Posting poems and photos together.
Okay.
So this is the first time I do think they enhance one another.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times I'm writing these poems from the experience of having gone out into the world and been observant with my camera. So it's the same kind of attention. And what I love about poetry is it's not just external, right? So you start with this external experience of, oh, I'm watching the snowfall, or oh, I'm seeing a bird. And then suddenly it's also somehow a metaphor about how you're feeling. And I always say this because it's so true, and you'll see it a lot in Quietly Wild. My poems are my neurotic self talking to my like more calm, centered higher self.
Got you. Wow.
So
Incredible.
I'll be like, "Dear self, I'm so stressed," and the poem will be the response. Right?
Ah, okay. That's so generous of you to share that, like that way in. That is like a beautiful invitation as a way in. I love that. I got a poem last week, like a poem arrived, and I don't write poetry a lot, but this poem arrived, and the title was "I don't want to go to Bali. I want to bleach my kitchen sink." I was like,
Oh my God, I love
"Okay,
it.
we're going there. We're going there." And so I've been trying to sit with it rather than be like, "Okay, I need to write this up and get it out." Like that's not at all what I want to do with poetry. Like I want to honor the process of going, I'm going to sit with like whatever this wants to be that's bigger than me. So I've just been sitting with it for about a week now, and I've got a draft version of it. I think it'll go out on Friday, but it's always so fascinating to me because like I said, it just feels now and again, like it's probably about 3 or 4 times a year, a poem will deliver. And I'll be like, oh, this is what we're doing, but it's not often. And it is so beautiful, but it's like not a frequent part of my creative process, if that makes sense.
Oh, now I have things I want to say to you, Claire. But I mean, here's what I will say. If poems ever come to you, then that is one of your gifts, right?
Yeah.
Because most people do not receive poems, period.
Oh, okay.
So just know that if a poem arrives in your body, or you hear lines, like I will hear lines, right? Or I'll say a line to someone, or I'll text someone something.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm like, oh no, it's a poem, right? Like it's sort of like it's coming for me, the poem. But anyway, if you practice the art of like allowing them to come more often,
Yeah.
right? Like birds, they'll come and land on you more.
Yeah. Well, this was it. So I've learned that if I let something sit with me, like I don't want to sound too cliche here, but like life becomes the poem. So it's like the poem and my life are the same. It's like the same thing, and it's so emotional. So on Saturday, I took my son to the barbers, and there was this beautiful music, like prayer music, playing in the barbers. Yeah, it's an Iraqi family that have it. And there's this beautiful prayer music. And then there's these budgies in the barbers. The door's closed. The budgies are just free to fly. And I was like, oh, I've gone. Like, I'm totally just immersed in this world of everything that I want to write about. But the most beautiful bit of all of it was we were just having a normal drive. Like, it was so normal. I've lived here for 10 years. We do the drive most days. And my son just out of nowhere said, he's 11. he said, you know, Mum, there's a colour in nature that is the rarest colour of all. What do you think it is? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Is it gold? And he said, no, it's blue. And I was
Ooh,
just like, this is so beautiful. I was like,
I love
well,
that.
thank you so much. I didn't know that. Of course. And then I'm like, how do you know that? It's like YouTube. Okay, we'll keep it real. We'll keep it real. So I do need to do a bit more research. But anyway, that's how things arrived on Saturday. So I was like, that's now part of the poem, right?
It's so
So we'll
good.
see we'll see what happens with it all. But I would love to ask you to read a poem from your book, Alex, if you don't mind. We were chatting about this before, and I said that I'd turned to page 93 today and found such comfort in this one. For today, but for the times that we're in, if you would be happy to read it.
I'm very happy to read for you. Okay, so this is called Begin Again and Again. When the world feels dire and dangerous, we can see how community and art really are everything. To have a place to gather, to know a song to sing, to read a poem that reminds you that humans do this and survive. Our hobbies become our salvation, to bake bread and knit a sweater, to grow herbs and tend wounds, to have places to wait out the storm, the heat, the violence. This is what humans do. This is how we begin again and again in love.
So beautiful. Thank you for doing that for us. It's so
My pleasure.
stunning.
It feels so accurate for right now.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? When you own copies of books like this, and you can just literally be like, okay, like let's open this page and see what happens. Yeah, there's so many beautiful poems in the book. If you don't have a copy, check out your local library or just go ahead online and go and grab a copy because it is so stunning. And I'm just leaving mine in here to open, when the feeling takes me. I'm so grateful for it. Circling back to Substack stuff. So, as I mentioned, Russell and I are hosting this month-long activity program challenge around joyful growth on Substack.
Yeah.
Russell's language for it is frictionless growth, and he has some chronic illnesses and stuff. And one of his things is about like, how can I make sure that the energy that I'm expending is working, so that it's finding the right people, the people can come in, he can be paid properly, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And mine's always been around joyful, sustainable growth, because I feel like we can find joy temporarily in being generous, in hosting space for community. And then there's that bit of sustainability that kind of feeds back to us. So when people share our work, or when people are really grateful that we've helped them figure something out. So
Yeah.
that's really what this week is about. And it's just 5 days of activity. I have been quite cautious around doing this kind of month-long immersion into joyful growth, because I just feel like I'm second guessing my environment sometimes. And I know we chatted about that a little bit at the beginning, but I'd love to know how you feel about your work in the wider environment of Substack as social media, Substack notes, like other things going on, notifications, like, and how you bring people in to kind of sit quietly with you if that's what you kind of want to ask them to do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been doing this a long time, so
Mhm.
it feels really familiar to me.
Yeah.
Um, I think normally what I was doing for years and years and years is I would post every day on
Mm.
Instagram, and then I
Okay.
would do occasional live, and I would run seasonal programs through my newsletter. That was not Substack. This is pre-Substack.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was wonderful, but it was very sort of insular. So it was like if you knew about my newsletter community, you could be part of it. And what I like about Substack is it's a very natural, organic growth. It's not viral growth. I don't like viral growth. I never have. Um, it doesn't feel safe to my nervous system, and it doesn't
Mhm.
feel authentic to community to me, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
one of the things I really like about a newsletter is it's kind of an investment, right? People have to take the time to read what you've written. And I find that the people who are drawn to my work on Substack in this sort of longer format are much more likely to resonate with the kind of community that I'm trying to build, right? So the way that I've done that on Substack, and that's working for me right now, and I reserve the right to change my mind whenever I want, is that I do my newsletters for free for the most part,
Mhm.
because for me, it's a newsletter. I want
Mhm.
people to read it.
Yeah.
Right? So that is my, like, open arms offering to the world every single week. I offer something to the world that feels true and vulnerable to me and I'm usually offering my poetry, but I'm also offering like, "Hey, you could buy my book. You could support me in this way," right? So it
Mhm.
feels very much like reciprocal.
Yeah.
And then what I'm offering for paid subscribers is community. Literally, we show up online on Zoom and we write together, and paid subscribers get access to my in-person retreats and classes first. Right? So
Mhm. Okay.
if you want to hang with me, you got
Mhm.
to pay me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I do it, and it works. It's worked so well. It's worked so much better than I ever thought it would.
Yeah.
It's worked better than
Beautiful.
it's worked anywhere else that I've tried to do it. So far so
Yeah.
good.
I think, and on Substack, people get it, don't they? So
Yeah,
they get the fact that there is a free offer, that there is a paywalled offer, and that we all do different things behind the
exactly.
paywall. So
Yes.
as long as they have enough capacity to read what it is that you offer, um, and we are articulate enough about it, I think sometimes, especially with selling, and I don't mean selling as in like trying to sell something. I just mean as in like setting out your stall and being like, this is what it's going to be, because
Yep.
we're big over explainers, and part of that just comes from not feeling comfortable for like
True.
to ask to be paid. It's like, oh, you can pay me if you want, and like here's some things that we might do, but also it's this, and also
Mhm.
whereas you have a really succinct way of describing, okay, like this is what it is, and then this is what this other route leads to. So I
Yep.
think, well, there's a lot to lean into there. And also, like I was saying at the beginning, leaning into that sustainability of like, how long do you want to work like this? And you might not know the answer to that, but that's okay too. Subscriptions,
Mhm.
yes, are forever until people cancel, but we don't have to promise forever. We can say, this season I am offering, or this year I am offering. Like, we can come back to ourselves in that and decide what it is that we want to offer.
That's so true. And one of the things that I've been like, "Oh, this is so fun," is I'm looking at it and I'm going, "Oh, I've written 100 articles."
Yeah.
Right? Like, who I never would have written 100 articles if I hadn't, like, committed to doing this process in the way that I've done it. So no matter what happens next, I did that, and now that could be a book, right? And it wouldn't
Yeah.
be hard. It would be so easy. I would just edit what I've already written and what people have already resonated with. That's huge for me. Like, and
Hmm.
that's why I shared on Instagram every day. It wasn't to get eyeballs on my work. It was
Hmm.
accountability for my process, right?
Hmm. A
And
space to show up. Yeah.
I'm a person who believes really strongly that, like, there is no scarcity in creativity.
Hmm.
The more I create, the more I can create. The more I write,
Yeah.
the more I will write. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about like, "Oh god, I'm gonna run out of ideas,"
Hmm.
'cause it's never happened. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Same. It's
yeah.
interesting, isn't it? It's like it just feels like an endless tap, but it feels more of an, like, I don't know, like, and I think I'm really interested in your opinion on this because I can tell you're a multi hyphen too,
Mhm.
like multi passionate or however you want to describe it. But like sometimes I just don't have enough places to put the ideas. And that's what starts to sort of frighten me in terms of like, I'd need to cut some of them off because there's just like,
Uh-huh.
where on earth do I put all of these different versions of what my creative process and practice is? And I've definitely lent into that a little bit more and more consciously this year, because last year I was writing my book, I was writing my two Substacks, I was, hosting community and courses and live programs and all the things. And
Mhm.
I really wanted more time off. I was like, I just want time. Like, I don't even know what I'll do in the time. Like, I just want more time, but I'm so called to do all the things. I'm like, I don't know how to
Yes.
do less. So I am doing less. I'm just consciously doing less. Like, it's really nice. Like, I'm constantly questioning it, but that's fine. Like, I'm questioning it and sitting on my hands, and being like, stop doing the things. Like, it's fine. Just, like I sanded my kitchen workbench, and it's always such a monumental day when that happens, because we've got these solid oak workbenches and everybody said not to get them. And I was like, but why? And they were like, because you'll have to sand them down and treat them. And I was like, sounds lovely. I'd love to do that. And then obviously when I finally get round to it and it's a big job and stuff, I'm just like, see, like, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so many of us have this question, which is like,
Mhm.
how do we get everything out we want to get out without wearing ourselves down to the bone?
Yeah. Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
And like, we all have our own solutions. Like, I tend to just keep notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of
Yeah,
ideas. And then
yeah.
I'm like, there they are.
Mhm,
They don't need to happen right now. Right? Like, they
mhm,
can happen one at a time.
mhm.
And I can just
Yeah,
go back and go, oh, totally forgot about that thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so nice because it's like these, I call it messages from my past self. Like, that's a
Oh, that's
real
nice.
source of
Mhm,
of
mhm.
inspiration for me is, probably I already had a really good idea a few months ago, so I don't need to come up with a
Just
brand
go
new one.
yeah, yeah. I wrote in a newsletter a couple of years ago, and my friend in America actually commented on it and pulled out this line, and when you're just writing in flow and you don't actually realize you've written a thing. So I'd written something like, "I've never run out of creative ideas, but I have run out of energy to deliver them."
Oh,
And then
absolutely,
she like reflected
1,000,000%.
it back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's me."
Yep,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah, and I think that's it now. I'm like, it's fine. Like, there's the urgency has been interesting, but I don't feel urgent this year. Like, I just don't. Mhm.
that's really good. I mean, and this is exactly what I talk about, right? So you have to find your cadence. And
Mhm.
then also what I would say is find your tide, right? So when are you like,
Yeah.
some people, it's seasonal, like me, I tend to be seasonal, but just quick,
Mhm.
actually, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's every 3 months. But
Mhm.
some people are like, "I did a thing for 5 years, and then I took 4 years off, and then I did a thing for
Right.
10 years, and I took,
Mm.
6 months off."
Mhm.
So, like, each person has their own, orbit,
Yeah.
creative orbit, and
Yeah.
and each person has different cadences for how they refill the creative well, and
Mhm.
then are able to utilize what they've refilled.
Mm.
So, you know, when we're trying to operate on someone else's timeline, that's when I get the most worn out, right?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
going, "Oh, yeah, it's pretty standard process for me to be a mess in November," for instance.
Mhm.
I don't function in November. So
Yeah.
I just write that down. Don't try to
Write that on the
function.
calendar. Coming
No,
up.
literally. That's
Coming up in 11 months. This is what's gonna happen. Yeah.
literally
Mhm.
every single year. I'm like, "You know what you can't do? November. You can't November. So stop
Mhm.
trying. Stop trying in
Yeah.
November."
It's a
So
big
now
month.
I will literally just be like, "I'm taking 2 weeks off in November."
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and give
Um
that gift to yourself. It's also that time is not linear thing. So, a bit like Narnia and like going through the wardrobe of the fur
Mhm.
coats. We're rewatching the sort of the original from when my husband and I were kids with our son, which is baffling and beautiful. But it is like that because there's no time passed at all, but all the time's passed in the like in the world in Narnia, and it's like all of that sort of bit of the picture that we can gift to ourselves. Then that's what we have to do, don't we? We have to know that it's fine.
Yes. It's so funny
Mhm.
because I also have an 11-year-old, and we also just read that book. So
Oh, did you? Oh, if you can, I don't know whether you'll be able to get it, but we're watching it on YouTube, and so it was the BBC's version of
oh, sure.
Narnia, and it'll be like maybe like 1989 or something. But they did
Yep.
it so well. It might be early 90s, I don't know, but yeah, but you might be interested to watch that together. It's
I
so
will
cute.
totally find that.
Mhm.
I watch a lot of BBC shows, so
Mhm. Oh, it's good that you can get them. I'm never quite sure how it works, like whether you guys can like get some of the BBC shows and stuff.
yeah, you have to subscribe special to it, but I do because
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Joe Thomas lives just up the road from me, and she's a wild forager. She's an amazing person,
oh, I do.
and she educator, and she's saying early 90s, I think. I know that she'll have got a lot from this conversation. So I'm going to let you go really soon. I'm going to hop off on the school run, but I
Yeah.
just wondered if you wanted to invite people to read what you write. Are you still posting on Instagram there? Is the newsletter monthly? Is it weekly? What's the cadence and all that? How can people read more of what you're about?
Yeah, so my handle is my name everywhere. So it's Alex
So
Klingenberg
good. Mhm.
.substack.com, and it's Alex Klingenberg on Instagram, and it's Alex Klingenberg on Facebook, and it's Alex Klingenberg. Well, it was Alex Klingenberg on TikTok, and it's not anymore because I got hacked. But I don't really post much on TikTok, so we'll skip that one. I write weekly newsletters on Substack that are free with creative prompts at the end, and then I
Mhm.
do monthly live writing calls for all paid subscribers. love to have you join us. We're doing one coming up on the 25th, which will be about visions and poems. So the idea that
Nice.
visions and dreams and poems all come from the same landscape, and we can tap into that landscape. And we'd love to have people there. It would be so
Oh.
wonderful. And Claire, this has just been so delightful and
Thank
so
you so
lovely
much for
to,
guesting with me. I'm so glad we could do this. It was just
yeah.
like such perfect timing to be like, I was planning some lives for this, and then I got your book and was like, oh my goodness, this woman's work is incredible. I can't wait to chat. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us
Thank
all this
you.
afternoon. And in the replay, if you are catching up on replay, I will post all of Alex's links and the link to buy Alex's books as well. So check out the comments in the live wherever you're listening to this. Thanks again, Alex. It's been gorgeous.
Thank you so much, Claire. See you soon.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, bye.